Alfred Naro.
To rise and speak after the member Sewell William Seor, who, Mr. Speaker, I would say that speech is like the speech of a white knight on a white horse, but in his case it's a brown knight on a brown donkey.
Oh, order.
And this order. Is it, Mr. Speaker. This is what's become of this speech.
No, I think the member will just change his tone a bit. Thank you.
This is what's become of the speech, Mr. Speaker. It's the classic speech, the socialist speech that keeps coming out. And by the way, the assumption that I grew up in a state house is not true. It's not true. And this is the thing. All these assumptions about who we are as Polynesian people growing up and the assumptions that are being made, and this speech that talks about the knight coming in to save our communities, to save our people. In other words, that they cannot save themselves. Well, and this is what happens. It keeps going on about the fact is that we're here as a party, as the Labour Party, to come and save you. Well, guess what? Here's some news. Our community don't need you to save us. Why? Because we can save ourselves. That's right. We can save ourselves. But this is what's happened. Those sort of speeches have become a one-trick pony speech. That's right. Same thing over and over again. Hence the reason why over 1 million New Zealanders did not vote for the Labour Party. The poorest result of the history of the Labour Party in 92 years. So guess what? You've got to have to take some lessons from that. But like this on this side, you can shout all you like. But here's the reason why we're making a difference. Why? Because when we talk about poverty, when we talk about hardship and difficulty, it's not about the fact that here's the things that we're going to do for you. Because our communities don't need to be said that we're here to save you and see all they want and all they need is opportunity and a fair go. Opportunity and a fair go. So here's some of the reality. Out here in West Auckland, in Te Aratu, where I went, campaigned over 2.5 months, okay, here's the difference that it made. In 2.5 months, the people of Te Aratu turned around and said they halved the majority for a Labour seat that had been Labour for some time. That's right. The majority of the party vote was increased from 700 in 2011 to nearly 2,000. That's what had actually happened in 2.5 months. And here's a telling sign. When I was at Rutherford College, Will Flavel comes out and he says to me this, geez, you're going hard, aren't you? I said, how long have you been out in the West? Oh, maybe some 10 years. So here's a lesson from the wise about how it rolls out in the West. You either go hard or you go home. Our communities want to hear the messages that make a difference. So while you talk around the fact of housing and how that makes a difference. So when our communities heard about the Kiwi Bill, 100,000 homes, 10,000 per year. But here's the telling thing that in the debate down at McLaren Park when Phil Stoner Twyford was asked this question, so you're saying you got 10,000 per year, that's correct. But hang on, in Q&A on Sunday, you said you could build 400 in the first, 8,000 in the second, 12 in the next. Oh, that's right. It's a cumulative over a period of time. People began to see through the lies and realise that's not what makes a difference. And our housing policies are making a difference. Here's the other thing. Issues around capital gains tax. Did it make a difference? That's right. Wahine, you can keep talking and crying all the time. Here's what made a difference. All of a sudden, it was a failed policy. You no longer talk about it. Why? Because it became an inheritance tax. So here's the thing that becomes important. Time and time again, our community is saying the policies are weak, the implementation doesn't happen, and reality is there's nothing new. You're going to have to change your message because it's not getting through.
Point of order, Carmel Sepuloni.
I don't know if it's appropriate for that member to say that you need to change.
Yes, and if the member had been listening, she would have heard me correct him at the time.
Alfred Naro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and here's the other bit around the issues around poverty that we believe is making a difference. We know that we want, just this afternoon, for instance, we're down here looking at the Big Picture art exhibition. And over there, the young children from Pukeha Moi Moi School had won the prize. And why? Because they showed a picture that showed that poverty is a very complex issue in our communities. We know that there's hardship in our communities. We know there's difficulties. So how are we solving that? We're dealing with the issues in hardship, for instance, around GP visits for children under 13, ensuring they get access to health services that are there. What are we also doing, for instance, Mr. Speaker? We're ensuring that we're engaging into communities so that they enroll into ECE. We know the difference that makes to our communities is making a difference, Mr. Speaker. We know how that's engaging in our communities as well. Mr. Speaker, I also too want to talk about the fact that our Pacifica communities are changing and moving towards a value-based national-led government in the things that we're doing, and we're seeing it happen constantly over and over again. Why? Because those values of opportunity are constantly coming through for our people as well. So, Mr. Speaker, so here's the difference that we know that it's making. The economy is growing by 3.9%.
Mr. Speaker.
Kevin Haig.
At last, Mr. Speaker.